Welcome to Mindset and Money Mastery for Photographers, the podcast. We help overwhelmed photographers make more money while simplifying their business by mastering their, you guessed it, mindset and money. Tune in each week for practical and actionable tips to take your photography business up a notch. Let's dive right in. So today we have Jamie here with us. Jamie is one of my former coaching clients, and now she actually helps me inside my coaching program, Master Your Mind and Money. She helps answer people's questions when they have questions about joining us, and she offers a really unique perspective since she's been there, she's been in your place, and she knows what it feels like to be building your business. I know I'm a little further removed from that since it's been 10 years that I've been in business now, but Jamie feels the pains a little bit more, and she's been there and she knows what it's like. Jamie, I am so excited to have you here today. Why don't you share with everybody a little bit about what it's like to work with me or to have me in their pocket as their business coach, or just to kind of learn from me, because I know that you started following me years ago and you followed me for quite some time before you worked with me. So do you want to share a bit about what it's like to work with Corinda?
Yes, definitely. I was a lurker. I followed all of your free webinars, and I finally reached a point where I was like, I have absorbed all of the free knowledge I possibly can. And it was actually, we got on the phone and I told you, hey, I am at this point. It's not good. It doesn't look good, and it hasn't been good. And I need this to work. And you know, from that first phone call, obviously, you pointed out a lot of big pain points in my business, and kind of going through the process. I'd never had somebody where I could literally in my pocket pull my phone out and say, hey, this is what my client is wanting, or this is what the problem is. What do I do? And you walked me through it. And, you know, you really pushed me out of my comfort zone a couple times, but, it definitely paid off in the long run. Just thinking back, even a little bit over a year ago, where I was with my business to now, it's crazy to think.
I love that. I am super proud of you and excited for all the things you've done. Jamie is one of those people that had like a $14,000 sale, like fairly quickly, right? Like 3 months in or something, you had a $14,000 sale, right?
Yes. And I cried, and you were one of the first people that I told. And I had to sit there and act like it was a normal day.
So let's do this. Let's talk through some of the basics of what it takes to get to those big sales, to have those clients that are spending money, investing with you, and they're happy about that. Okay. So let's kind of walk through those pillars and talk a little bit about what they are, how they've impacted you in your business, and kind of share your side of the experience here as we walk through these pillars. So the first thing that we always talk about is money, right? We talk about money. Normally we think it's just like setting your pricing, but let's talk a little bit more about money and kind of what most people come to me saying, like, I think this is what it is versus what it can really be. Maybe you're a photographer that's listening to this and you have set your pricing based on what you see other people doing. Or maybe what an educator has told you that you should be charging because they do it. But you really have no idea why you're charging those prices or doing those things everyone else is doing. Maybe you have never considered that there are actually psychological reasons behind why people purchase things and why people spend their money. And maybe you really have no idea where money's going in your business. So if I said to you, hey, you just got $1,000 check from a client, where does that money go? Could you tell me off the top of your head, oh yes, this many dollars goes here, this many dollars goes here, this many dollars goes here, and know confidently where that money's going, and also that part of that money is going in your pocket for your paycheck? Are you actually paying yourself out of your business, right? So let's talk a little bit about the truth and what your money can really look like in your business. And all of these things we're talking about today are topics that we're going to cover in more depth on the podcast later on. So make sure you check back. But this is really the foundation of what we talk about and what we teach here at Master Your Mind and Money. And I just want to go through these things and make sure that you have a big general overview of kind of what I believe in and what I help people with. Jamie, do you want to share like some of your revelations when it came to money in your business after we started talking and I started helping you with your business?
Well, as you'd pointed out, I know for a fact when you asked me what my average sales were or where the money in my business went, I had no answer. I sat there with like, what do I do a lot? I looked up to you and I was like, oh my gosh. But as we dove into it, like you'd said, it definitely was a lot more than just, okay, raise your prices. It was the psychology behind, okay, this is the percentage that your cost of goods sold needs to be. The big thing too, and I remember it, was that I had this thought process that I would be greedy if I was asking for what I deserved pretty much in my business. And I remembered when I said that to you, you were like, hold on a second, what? And you reminded me that this is a business. This isn't just a little hobby. This is a business and you have to stay in business. In order to do that, you need to be comfortable with money, comfortable making money, and knowing your numbers.
Yeah. I think that you should be a little obsessed with your money. As bad as that sounds to say, you kind of have to be obsessed with your numbers to know them, to understand them, to love them. Like anybody at this point in time, if I said to them, like, what's your average sale right now? If you have to think about it, that means you don't love your numbers enough and you don't know your numbers enough. The truth is that you should know exactly why you are charging those numbers that you have to be charging. You should feel confident when you say your prices because you know that to put $100,000 in your pocket at the end of the year, that you have to charge that much money for that canvas, and you should know and not feel guilty about it, right?
I think a lot of it too is like, when you are uncomfortable with your pricing or you are uncomfortable with making money, when you're going over your pricing with potential clients, you almost mumble when you get to the high investment. You're like, oh, my session fee is, let's just throw it out there, $200. And this will include XYZ. But if you want to get a life-size piece of artwork on your wall, it's going to be, and then you never sell it because you're not confidently marketing what you're offering.
100%. I love that. The other thing too is that like, I know sometimes as like women, I think like sometimes there's a bit of like women don't manage the money. It's like a man's job to some extent. And I think that the other piece of this is you have to learn how to manage your money in your business, to love the feeling of looking at your bank account, to love looking at your account and going, this much is mine, this much is taxes, this much covered that, and to love the idea and the feeling of looking at those things. And lastly, you should know exactly how your clients are making purchasing decisions, right? So if I say to you, Jamie, why would somebody buy this instead of this? You should know, hey, the reason they're going to buy that is because I have my pricing set up in this way. And this serves as an anchor point. And this is what I've shown them. And these are the questions I asked. And this is what I put on their wall. So that's why they're going to buy that. There is a proven science behind why people make purchasing decisions and why people spend money in a certain way. This is a bit of, I think, the piece that in my business personally was missing. I didn't understand why my clients were making the decisions they were making. I just thought that there's my price list and there it is. I didn't understand the importance of the way I asked questions. I didn't understand the importance of how I was presenting my pricing. I didn't understand the importance of just one little word when I said my pricing or my tone of voice. People make buying decisions based on proven science and psychology and knowing the background, and that is hugely important. Do you feel like whenever you talk to your clients, you're like, okay, what am I going to do to get them to make the decision I want them to make? versus beforehand you were just like, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was always like a Hail Mary. And something actually that I just very recently started doing is when I do the initial consultations, and especially when I get into, planning out their session, I pinpoint exactly who I'm selling to, because sometimes it's not necessarily the parents or the wife or the husband. Like for example, I have a client right now. I know right off the bat, I am selling to the grandchildren. Like that is it. They are the deciding factors, and that's who I'm going for. Whereas other situations, the psychology of it's going to be different. And I think that plays in a lot too on how your sales go. Because if you're pitching to the wrong person, it's not going to do anything.
Yes, 100%. And I think this ties into kind of the next area that we really talk about a lot is client experience. I think a big part of client experience is really just getting to know your clients and asking them the right questions. So many people come to me and they're like, I ask them, I say, what is your client experience like? And you know what they say to me? They go, well, it's great. I send them a welcome gift and I have this really pretty guide I send them in the mail. And guess what? I even send them an ornament at Christmas. That is not your client experience. Your client experience is not about gifts and welcome guides. And also the other thing that I hear people say is my client experience is 50 million steps to it. And I have a spreadsheet this long and it's overwhelming. It's hard to manage. Or sometimes I ask people about their client experience and they say, what's a client experience? Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So what did you think a client experience was like whenever you started working with me?
I was that last person. I had no clue whatsoever. And when you broke it down for me, I was like, wow, like that sounds nice. I want to hire this person, this person we were building me into pretty much. But yeah, it was easy. It was efficient. And every single one of my clients notes it. They will verbally tell me that they have not worked with somebody who does that. And I think that speaks volumes.
For sure. And I think like a big piece of what the client experience really is about making your client's life easy and also solving the problems that they have before they even have a chance to vocalize the problem to you. Before they have a chance to make an excuse of why they can't do the thing, you're saying, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you. I got it. You're saying, hey, you don't need to read a million emails. You don't need to read a 10-page long PDF guide. You're saying, hey, let's just have a conversation like two people that are friends and let's talk about it. Let me help you. Let me guide you just like I am your friend that's there directing and guiding you. And the other thing is that your client experience also is what leaves your clients prepared for the end result, which ultimately in my business is to buy art. I make my money from art. And I'm going to say selling art, but it's not really selling. I make my money by asking my clients the right questions about their art and providing the right experience that when they get to the end, they're like, yes, let's figure out what we're doing for art. They know it's a part of the experience. How have you noticed like a difference there in like your clients being like, yeah, of course, let's get the picture for the wall. What has that been like for you versus feeling like in the beginning, I don't know, did you ever have that feeling of like, I feel like I'm going to have to sell. This is scary. Like, was there that moment when you were like, wait, no, I don't have to sell?
In the beginning, there was a lot of things I needed to figure out, which I think it went pretty simple for me, honestly. I think it was an easy transition. But I mean, still going into it, I'm hoping that my clients are spending a couple $1,000s plus with me. And like you said, I had that, that $14,000 sale kind of right off the bat. That was crazy. And the reason that that went so easy and they didn't question anything was because I asked them all of the right questions. They showed me the wall that they wanted specifically to put their artwork on. And then I delivered and I custom catered every single step to where I don't even think a single question was ever asked. I think it was very easy for them. They went through everything, it was delivered and they were really happy with it. And it's kind of because we broke down those steps. I followed the steps. I asked the right questions and it just right through. It was easy.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really, in the end, what the client experience is about, is being easy for both you and your clients, right? That kind of rolls into this next piece of the puzzle here, which is selling. We have to be really good salesmen, but not in the sleazy salesman type way. And I think that a lot of times people think that selling via IPS or in-person sales can be sleazy, and that it's not for them because they don't want their clients to feel pressured. Or maybe you're already doing like a form of IPS, or you're doing IPS and you're selling an album here or there, or you're selling some small pieces of wall art, but you're like, man, how on earth are these people getting these giant sales and having people spend like $10,000 or more and buy these giant series of art, or buy the giant album and spend $4 or $5 grand on just an album? That's where a lot of people are. In all reality, selling, without being sleazy, is about asking the right questions. And those right questions start in your client experience, right? If we ask them the right questions in the right way, which this is a big piece, you have to be a master at your words. You have to know just how to say the thing that plants the seed. We talk a lot about planting seeds. Plant a lot of seeds in our process and our client experience that grow into our sale, right? We have to plant the seeds, and we just have to learn how to ask our clients in the right way what they want and deliver on those desires. And in all reality, each and every one of you that's listening to this today is capable of selling huge wall art and giant albums if you prepare your clients the proper way with your client experience. And there are a lot of nuances here that like come into play in your IPS, your actual ordering appointment. Spoiler alert. I don't go to my clients' homes for a planning consultation. I don't go dig through their closets. I don't do any of that. I don't meet them in person. I have a studio. Guess what? I don't meet my clients there. Who wants to actually get dressed, drive somewhere? Who wants to clean their house to have a guest come over and dig through their closet with them? Not me. And I don't want to spend my time and energy doing that. And I honestly think it makes my clients' lives easier. But there's a lot of nuances that happen during that image reveal, even if it's over Zoom, that can make a huge difference in having a $2,500 sale and a $5,000 sale. For example, thinking about my coaching clients, Kristen is one of my coaching clients, and just recently we had this conversation. And she mentioned that there was one little question that she wasn't asking at her image reveals. And once I pointed out that one little magical question, her sales doubled. And we'll have to do an entire episode on that one magic question because it is a big one. And it truly makes a huge difference during your reveals. But just one tiny little question can make all the difference in your ordering appointments. So tell me, Jamie, like now that you do ordering appointments with clients, what is that process like? And how much of it do you feel like you're just giving them what they're telling you they want versus selling? Like, do you ever feel like you're having to really sell them at that appointment? Or do you feel like if you do your job and prep them properly, they're already there?
I mean, like you said, it starts from that initial point of contact. So you start making them think, ooh, what do I want to do with my portraits? And for me personally, I adore albums. I really do. I like doing something for the wall. I'm a big statement person. If you look at my home, it's full of large art, but I like to do an album. So that's where I'll steer them. And then I'll be like, oh, what goes well with this album is a big statement piece. And then at the session, I have that sample. And I'm like, look at this giant piece of artwork. Imagine a picture of you and your horse or you and your dog, that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, I do want this. That's really nice. for me, like my clients are eclectic. They are different and they like to have different stuff on their walls. They don't want the department store decor. They want something for when they have guests come over. That's the first thing they see, or they bring out their album and they're like, look what I did. It's full of crazy stuff, just like me. And, that's what I like. So more often than not, my clients leave with albums, but that's because I'm planting those seeds over the phone, through email, in person, multiple times. And in a point too, where it's not annoying to the client. That's the big thing, is you're dancing a dance.
That's a good way to put it. I love that. The other thing also too is like, if you're sitting here listening to this, be like, I could never sell an album. Selling things like albums can also be impacted in the way you're shooting your sessions, in all honesty. The way you shoot your sessions does have an impact on what you're selling. And you have to be shooting with the end result in mind. And you have to be asking the questions so that you can shoot with that end result in mind. And that is really when you start getting these clients that are ready to spend on the art, right? If I ask a client at the beginning, hey, where are you going to put your portraits in your home? Are you thinking you would want something to go over your mantle, maybe like a cool fine art piece of your horse, like a detail type shot? Or do you have this in mind, or do you have that in mind? And they say to me, oh my gosh, a really cool fine art portrait of my horse over the fireplace, like a really cool detail shot. I love that idea. And then if I go to the session and when I'm shooting that really cool detail shot that's going to go over the mantle, and I'm saying to them, hey, this is the shot. This is the one that's going to go great over your mantle. And then when we get to the reveal and I say, this is the shot that's going to go over the mantle, they're like, oh, yes, this is the shot. Here's my credit card, right? They know that they're going to buy the shot over the mantle because we've talked about it however many times before we even get to the reveal. When we get to the reveal, it's just like, let's finalize it and put it on my credit card. It's no longer like a what am I going to do question, which is the cool part about prepping them correctly with your client experience. And also just knowing that like those little nuances or that little magic question I talked about earlier can make such a big difference. Now, there's another thing that comes into play when it comes to prepping your clients for the sale. And that's actually your marketing. And people come to me all the time and they're like, Corinda, I need marketing. I need more clients. And in all reality, marketing and more clients is not the answer until your client experience and your pricing and your sales process is up to par. Because if those things aren't on par, you're just going to get more crappy clients that aren't ready to spend money. But once those pieces are in place, then your sign is to dive into your marketing. Your marketing does actually help prepare your clients for coming to you and investing a lot of money in their portraits because you're building value. And so many people, when I ask this question, and I'm going to ask all of y'all this right now, I want you to really think about this. What are you doing to market your business? Can you sit there and write down a list of like 10, maybe 15 things you're doing to market your business? Or are you sitting there going, well, I post on Facebook and Instagram. Oh, and I have a website. My friends, that is not enough. Marketing requires a lot of different pieces. So many people are coming to me and they're saying, I'm active on social media. I post every day on Facebook and Instagram. I'm so active. Why aren't people knocking down my door? Maybe you're feeling like you can't even give away a free session and you're wondering how you're even going to market yourself to get people to pay you money. Maybe you're in that boat. Or maybe you're wondering why all of your potential clients are ghosting you and not knocking down your door. That's where a lot of people come to me and they're at that place. Now, Jamie, how has your perspective on marketing changed? What has your shift been when it comes to marketing?
Well, I feel like you're calling me out quite a bit this time. I was definitely the social media marketer. This is the year of marketing for me, and I have tried a lot of different things. And yeah, some of them didn't work out, but at the same time, the ones that did work out have led me to some awesome clients. and they're just rolling through right now. And I had started that the beginning of the year. And I think that's actually quite fast for nurturing a client in that aspect. But no, I've approached many different avenues, and it was stuff that I never thought about before. I really did. I really thought like either you're going to rent a billboard or you're doing social media. That was my mindset on marketing. And there is so much that goes into it. And I'm really loving it because I'm putting myself in front of people and I'm meeting new people too. That's the fun part.
I think that last part you just mentioned, you're putting yourself in front of people and you're meeting people, is incredibly important.
In a lot of different ways too.
Yeah. We can't hide behind our computers and expect that people are going to show up. We have to get on the ground and do the dirty work. We have to go out, especially in those early business building years. When we're building a brand and building our reputation, we have to do whatever it takes to get our name and our face in front of the right people. And we can't just show up once. We can't show up twice, 3 or 4 times. We have to show up at least 8 times. I have this rule that I've kind of made up. It came from the sales world, actually. My rule is you have to show up at least 8 times before somebody begins to trust you. So if they just see you on Facebook, it's not enough. If they see you on Facebook and Instagram, it's not enough. What other ways are you going to show up in front of those people so that they start to take notice? And they're not going to take notice till you're in front of them at least 8 times. Posting on social media isn't going to cut it. And marketing requires that multifaceted plan. And when it comes to marketing, I talk a lot about a spider web. We're building a spider web. And when you look at a spider web, you're like, holy smokes, there are a lot of little pieces to that. And if you are just posting on Facebook, you are a spider dangling from a single string.
Well, and I wanted to add in too, like I said, I'm trying a lot of different methods. And very recently, I've started going to a lot of horse shows because I went full time with my photography this year, thanks to obviously you. But I'm going, and I am the type of person where I will talk about just about anything until you tell me that I need to stop talking. So I'm just showing up, and people know me. They're like, oh, that's Jamie Pankow. She has the red hair. She has the tattoos. She's normally wearing black, but she's going to hunt you down, especially if you have dapples on your horse. It's just a known fact at any horse show these days. I just did it this weekend. But yeah, I think that that's another thing too, that it never once crossed my mind to talk to people at horse shows. And I was always going anyways.
Yeah. I think that there's so many opportunities in our everyday life to market ourselves. And really, once you start to see those opportunities and think about your business and your marketing in a new way, you start to see those opportunities in everyday life. The other thing when it comes to marketing is this whole idea that like, you can't give away the free session. We talked about selling. How are you going to sell something when you can't even give away the free session? Now, let's talk about how this relates to marketing, because I am 100% a believer nobody wants the free thing. If there's something free sitting on the side of the road, I'm assuming there's something wrong with it. And as a photographer, when you are leading heavily in your marketing that you're just going to give away the free thing, or you're going to do the model call after model call after model call, guess what? Nobody's going to want you. People wonder what's wrong with the free thing. So when it comes to marketing in your business, you have got to keep this in mind, guys. You cannot sit there and sound desperate, even if you feel desperate inside. You have to learn to speak about your business in a brand new way that builds authority. You have to talk up your business. You have to pretend like you are the hottest thing out there, even if you are like, I have no clients. What do I do? But if you go around telling everybody and talking like you have 0 clients and nobody wants you, nobody's going to want you. I think this just randomly popped in my head. I've never had this thought before, but you know how like the jerk guy when you were like young and in high school and in college, the guy that was the jerk and wanted nothing to do with you because he played hard to get, all the girls wanted him? There's a reason why that works. Because people want things that are exclusive or elusive, or people want things that are hard to get. People don't want the nice guy. So maybe you're just being the nice guy in your business that nobody wants. Not that the nice guy's bad. We all know the nice guy's the good option, right? I married the nice guy. But there is a bit of this, So we have to learn to speak about our business in a different way with a different sense of authority. But the other thing here with this is as we're doing that, we have to be able to accurately convey the value in what we're providing so that when our clients contact us, they know that it's going to be an investment, but they're also ready for that investment. We have to set ourselves apart and show that we're providing this experience in our marketing. We have to educate them that we are offering wall art. We have to educate them that they're going to do something with those photos and not let them rot away on their computer, right? So tell me, have you changed or found yourself changing the way you talk about your business and passing to people, Jamie? Has there been a shift here that's happened for you?
Oh, definitely. I don't think I had reached the point where I was like, nobody likes me, but I felt it. But I present myself and I take pride in it too, because I hear people around me when I walk by, they will say, like, that's Jamie Pankow. They know exactly who I am. And I'm friendly, it's not like a bad, like, oh, that's Jamie Pankow. It's a good thing. When I get asked about my business, it's going great. These are my, I'm having these amazing clients. I'm doing XYZ and it's going really well. And when I started out with this new process, did I believe it wholeheartedly? No, I did not. But it's a process. It is. And as you spend time talking highly about yourself, you begin to believe it. It's the same concept with, like self-esteem. If you're talking negatively about yourself, you're going to perceive yourself negatively as well as those around you. But when you elevate and you take it to the next level and you talk highly of yourself, all of a sudden people are respecting you. They look up to you. They want to be around you. And that was a huge shift in how I think people perceived me and how I perceived myself.
I think that's a really good point you just made there. And that totally transitions into something that is a bit of the hidden piece here, is that I can help you. I can give you all the tools for all of these things. And I can tell you exactly how to do the thing. But if you don't believe it because you have a bad mindset, you are in for a world of hurt. Mindset is this thing that's hidden in all of this. It's hidden in everything we do in our life personally, in our business. And I will say, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it. My coaching clients laugh and they refer to me as their therapist because this mindset stuff is real life. Sometimes people's therapists give them homework and I come and I'm like, I think we can make your homework better. I've had coaching clients fire the therapist before, okay? But this is where it gets down to some really nitty-gritty stuff. And this is where, I'll give y'all a warning, I make people cry. There's a bit of a joke amongst my coaching clients that if Corinda hasn't made you cry, you're not there yet. And this is really important stuff. And there's two ways that this mindset really comes into play here. First of all, your mindset is what stops you from taking action. Because if you're sitting there and I'm telling you the thing, or you're sitting there going, I know I need to do this, but you're closing your computer and running away from it, what is stopping you? Your mindset's stopping you. That's the first thing. Actually, there's a few more things here, so I'll break some of them down. The thing that I really noticed in my own personal business was money mindset. My bad beliefs about money were getting in the way. Jamie talked earlier about how you might say your prices and you might be want to run in a corner and hide when you say your expensive prices or how much a canvas is or whatever it may be. I learned quite a few years ago that I had really weird feelings deep down inside when people were spending money with me. And I was like, what is this? Am I impacting my business? Maybe I'm the reason why my clients are spending $5,000 or $6,000. Maybe I'm the reason that my clients are only spending $3,000 or $4,000 because that's my comfort zone. And I started to dig into this mindset thing a lot more. And I actually hired a mindset coach that specialized in money mindset. And we started digging into some of these things. And I realized, oh man, there's a lot here. So if you ever find yourself, number one, doubting your ability to go take action, to go do the thing, you need to look into why. What is it you're afraid of? Are you afraid of failing? Are you afraid of what happens if you actually make this work? Maybe you're worried that if you make this business work and you make all the money you want to make, that your friends will look at you differently. Maybe you're worried that if you go put everything into this and you fail, that people are going to laugh at you and say, haha, she's a failure. Maybe you're afraid of doing this because you're afraid that the people that can afford to spend thousands of dollars with you are not nice people because you grew up being told that people who have money are not nice people. There's so many things to unpack here in this mindset. And I could go on and on for hours about this. But there's another side of this mindset situation that I also think is incredibly important, and that is your why. Your why is the compass and what guides you in your business. Your why is what makes you different than everyone else. And the reason I kind of put your why in with this mindset stuff is because this is the ooey gooey stuff that makes you cry. This is the personal stuff that runs into our business, our mindset and our why. And you know what? Some of our mindset things probably come from our why and our stories and our things that have happened to us. And those are embedded in our why as well. So Jamie, like when we first started working together, I know you had a bit of imposter syndrome. I think that's where you were at whenever you came to me. You had this imposter syndrome and you were like, ooh, what do I do? I can't possibly do this. Did you think this mindset stuff was legit when we started, or did it take you a bit to realize, oh crap, I am sabotaging myself? Where were you on that spectrum?
I knew that I was sabotaging myself, but I didn't know how to get out of it. It's almost a feeling of having weights on you and you can't move. You recognize it and you see it, but you don't know how to get out of it. And like I've told you a million times, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard me say this because I will preach until someone tells me to stop talking. When I called you, like I said, it was back against the wall. I was standing in the exact same place when I found out my horse had cancer, the exact same place when I had to call to have him put down. And I had that imposter syndrome of, I don't have a horse anymore. How can I call myself an equine photographer? It didn't feel right. And I was attracting the wrong clients and it just wasn't going well. And you really dove in there and you drilled me and you just kept asking me, well, why? Why do you do that? Well, why do you think that is? And obviously we came to the conclusion that we had, and I'm very proud of my why. And it kind of sparked that fire in me again. And sometimes I need to remind myself of what I'm doing. I think that's another thing, is that mindset never stops. It's not like you do this for a short period of time and the rest of your life is great. You're always working on your mindset. You're always trying to elevate yourself and be a better version than you were the day before. But really finding that root of what drives you to do what you do, that is going to help you for years and years and years to build off of. Trees don't grow overnight.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so tell me this. I know recently we were talking about mindset things, and I know I recommended you go through and you watch some of the videos in the portal again, and you kind of refresh some of those mindset things that were going on. When you started going through the course portal and working through those mindset videos, what was that like for you? And how has that helped you over the last few weeks since you started doing that?
So when I started working through it, I treated it like I had never been through the process before. And I started like new notebook, the whole 9 yards. And there were a lot of emotional moments. There still are. honestly. I do my visualizations and it's a lot for me, but it's sparking that fire again because I was drawing in like half and half of where I wanted my clients to be and maybe not so great fits. And now, just even a couple weeks in, my future clients for all of fall, like I'm back on track. And it's like, shoot, I let myself slip. And that's not happening again.
Yeah, I think this mindset stuff is like something that we have to continually be cognizant and aware of, because it literally takes just a few months of letting it slip. And then one day you wake up and you're like, something isn't right. Something is stopping me. Something's getting in my way. I'm having these funny feelings. And then you're like, oh crap, I let that mindset thing go. So I think that mindset is something that all of us are on this journey of. Even me to this day, I catch myself in moments. And I think that it's a bit of a lifelong journey thing, but I think it gets easier with time.
Oh, it was a lot easier this time around.
Yeah. I think this has like been 5 years since I really dove into the mindset stuff. And there are some days when I'm like, oh man, I need to check myself, right? But I think that it's important that these are the things you come back to when things get difficult or things get rocky or things get hard. Tell me, when we dove into your why, were you like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Why is she asking me all these crazy questions? For those of you that don't know, when we do Finding Your Why, I ask a lot of absurd questions. And you're just like, oh, could she just stop poking the bear? But there's a reason I poke the bear. There's a reason your why is so important. And that is because it allows you to be different than everyone else. And I think that if you're sitting here and I say to you, what is your why? And you're thinking to yourself, well, because I want to preserve memories, because they're not going to be here forever, because your kid's not going to be that little, because you only have this one magical wedding. I'm going to tell you that's not your why. If you say anything that any other photographers could copy and put on their website, it's a conversation I had the other day with someone. Someone said another photographer stole and copied what was on my website. I said, well, then your copy isn't good enough because it's not unique enough to you that somebody else could copy it. Everything in your business should reflect your why, and it should be so deeply rooted in that. So Jamie, tell me a little bit about that epiphany of, oh, my why. This is something that I can actually use. This isn't just crap Corinda's telling me.
Watch me get emotional. So I know that when you were asking me, and I'm sure there has to be someone listening who has the same method as I do, I really wanted to have the right answer. Like I was so focused on having the right answer that I wasn't thinking internally, you know? So you kept pushing me. And I think we took a little bit longer on it than you wanted to. But it was the epiphany. You know, I was sitting at my desk and I looked up on the wall and I had a portrait on the wall of my horse and I. And that was my moment. I said, I want to give people that. I want to show them that. Sorry, can we just stop for a minute? Okay. So I looked up on the wall and I had a portrait on the wall of my horse and I. And my horse is no longer with me. I had him for 15 years and he was my heart and soul. He got me through addiction. He got me through domestic abuse. He got me through bullying in high school, self-image issues. That was my safe space. That was where I went to be myself, to be accepted, to be authentic, to feel loved. And to look at that picture, yes, it really hurts that he's gone, but to have that, it's the most valuable thing I own. And I was like, holy crow, I want to give that to the misfits. I want to give that to the people who've struggled and they're on the other side or they're still working through it. I want them to know that I'm here to celebrate that because I've been there. Mm-hmm. And it was just this whole, I think it kind of struck a bit of a movement in my personal life too, because I've made incredible relationships with the most amazing women. I really have. I've heard stories that you would never believe. And it all comes back around to their safe space is their horses. Their safe space is the stall door, just leaning over it and talking to their horse. Mm-hmm. It made a huge difference. And it blows my mind a little bit because when people call me to schedule with me, they will say, I heard that you are accepting. I heard that you're going to show off my daughter in the way that she wants to be shown off. You're not going to make her fit a box. And that's cool to me. Like, it's still it's weird, but it's really cool to know that people are taking note. They're seeking me out because I'm celebrating the unique equestrians and I'm celebrating going through a dark time and not hiding it. I think that's kind of where it all ties down to, but it was a crazy revelation for sure.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that it's forced you to be a little bit more transparent and open and vulnerable with your clients.
Yes, I hit it.
Yeah. And like now you can celebrate like who you are. You're Jamie. You have bright hair and tattoos. And you know what? The whole world has been jerks to you at one point in time or the other, but your horse, they accept you. And people need that acceptance. And people find that acceptance in you as their photographer. You show that to them in the truest way, and they see that in everything you do. And that's why they come to you. That's why they flock to you for that.
I think too that they feel comfortable, and that ties in to my client experience. They're going to pass that on to the next person. And that is a big key part in my client experience personally, is showing that acceptance and highlighting how they're unique. It's something that not a lot of the competitors in my area do. And I think that sets me aside.
Yeah. I feel like with this process that we use, it allows you the time and the space to get to know your clients in a different way, which makes all the difference in being able to make it unique to them and special to them and getting to know them and their stories and share your story and your journey to help them. And yes, we do want to make money. We do want to be profitable. We do want the simple business, but we're artists. We get a bit of this fulfillment out of helping people, and we get a bit of this fulfillment about creating this art. But that art has so much more power behind it with the why, and with you giving that to your clients and feeling that yourself and knowing their story and their journey because you get to know them, because you ask the questions to get to know them. And I really think that that's what this is about. And people are happy to pay you lots of money and to have that experience. They feel good about giving you their money when they do pay it to you because they're like, holy crap, she cares about me. And we do. I think it's safe to say we care about our clients. Our clients are like our families. I always joke and say my clients are my family, right? I know them and I follow their lives closer than I follow some of my own family members.
Well, and can I add on to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I had a conversation with a wedding photographer that I know, and we were talking about client experiences. And, she said she loves following the rest of her couple's lives and the exciting stuff that they go through. And I say, I agree. That's amazing. I said, for me, I've built such a strong relationship with my clients that I follow them too. I'm a part of that life, but we have gotten so close that I think for equine photographers listening or pet photographers listening right now, we all know there's a rainbow at some point, and to have built a relationship with your client to the point where you are one of the first people that they tell, or you are one of the first people that they contact because they want to get portraits. That is a very raw emotion. And that is a really big thing that has changed my business, is that I have built that bridge. I do have that relationship with my clients, and I love that. It gave me purpose in what I'm doing.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. It is really powerful whenever you build like these deep relationships. And some of my clients have become great friends of mine now. Like, I don't find friends by going and hanging out places. I find friends because I find clients that I love and relate to, and they become like my best friends. One of my best friends to this day, she actually, this is a really interesting story. She contacted me to photograph her wedding years ago, 7 years ago, I think, 8 years ago now. And she did not book with me, but we connected so well over email. This is before I called my clients right away. We connected so well over email that we literally one day were like, I think I messaged her one day and was like, hey, we should go get lunch one day. And she was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And we are really good friends. She's one of my best friends now. And she didn't hire me to photograph her wedding. I was out of her budget. She couldn't afford me. And I was okay with that. I'm so glad she didn't hire me because the photographer she hired did a phenomenal job and was definitely the wedding photographer for her. But we became such great friends. And it's so funny because even people who don't become your clients who contact you might become your friends, because the reason they contact you is because they fall in love with you and your work and your story and your journey, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really powerful example of failed inquiry turned to one of my best friends. So I love this. This has been such a good overview of everything that we really talk about and what builds that foundation. And I hope it gives everyone a good idea of what's to come. We're going to dive into a lot of these topics in more detail and really get into the nitty gritty of what it looks like to build a profitable business and master your mindset while you're doing it, because I can give you all the tools, but unless you know how to deal with your little birdie on your shoulder that's being a bad news bird and telling you can't do it, then all of the things I share with you are useless. So I'm excited for this journey. I hope Jamie has been a good perspective today in sharing her experience and her journey going through this as well. So you can see that I'm not crazy. I do have some wealth of knowledge that is usable and is good even when you hear me say things that you think I'm insane for. So thank you so much, Jamie, for being here. And I'm sure we will be back with you eventually talking about many more good things. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please make sure you share it on social media or leave a rating and review. As always, you can check out the links and resources in the show notes over at masteryourmindmoney.com. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at masteryourmindmoney. And don't forget to join our free Facebook group, Photography Business Tune-Up with Corinda K. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.